Welcome back, investors. We have a special guest today. We have Sylvia from Defiance. Thank you so much, Sylvia, for coming on the channel.
Thanks so much for having me, Spencer. Glad to be here.
Always, it's always a pleasure. Can you give a little bit about your background for viewers that might not know you?
Sure. I'm the chief investment officer at Defiance ETFs, and at Defiance we're known for our thematic ETFs, our single name levered ETFs, income products, amongst other things. We tend to be first mover in different disruptive themes, which we think are going to become like the classic sectors of tomorrow. But think AI related, quantum computing, supercomputing, all the names that investors are looking at and wanting to trade now.
Excellent. And yeah, QTUM, probably one of the most popular that we've seen on the market. We've seen the growth with it. And now you guys have some new ETFs coming out and some already out talking about
Yes.
space. Can you give us a little breakdown of the different runway of these ETFs you have that are targeting space, the ones that have already been out and ones that are coming soon?
Sure. Okay. So there's two ETFs that already exist, right? We always had this Defiance Pure Space 2X Daily ETF. Its ticker is SPCL, and that can hold anywhere from only one name or a couple of other names. And what we're doing is giving amplified exposure to space, satellite infrastructure, launch systems, these things. So that ETF exists already. Investors can go out and purchase it, and you can imagine after the SpaceX IPO, it will be holding SpaceX. We have XOVL, which is a levered take on XOVR. And you probably all know the story there, right? It has a lot of those pre-IPO names in there. SpaceX is one of them. And so that's garnering attention. But probably the most exciting ETFs we have is SPCU, which will be the Defiance Daily Target 2X Long SpaceX ETF. So just pure 2X exposure to SpaceX. And then SPCQ, which will be the bear fund version of that. And so, we're trying to democratize hedge fund like strategies, giving investors access to a leveraged vehicle, both on the bull and bear side.
I love that. That's really important to have options for if people believe it's going to be a bullish take, a bearish take. There are so many different opinions on SpaceX currently that
Totally.
I'm afraid to even form my own because I've seen good arguments from both sides. So SpaceX is shaping up to be the largest IPO ever by a pretty substantial margin. Why does that matter beyond just the headline numbers?
Yeah, I mean, I think SpaceX has pretty much transformed access to space for investors. You've kind of heard the stories that they've pretty much reduced these launch costs and the launch frequency. They've had a lot of success there. Most of their, kind of orbits have been successful ones. It's not just a rocket company, it's the intersection of aerospace, communications, AI is a huge one. You kind of know the background of XAI there. There's going to be so much government spending, R&D, technology, connectivity advances, essentially recurring revenue stream opportunities for this company. I think that this is probably one of the most innovative companies, or will be one of the most innovative companies of our generations of all of the people who are kind of alive right now and living this. I think it's going to be a major catalyst for the broader space economy. I think it's going to potentially impact, modern warfare and drones, satellites, connectivity. And I just think that there's so much excitement in the market. As you said, people have different opinions one way or the other, but it's all the buzz. It's exciting for all, innovative tech investors.
It is, and it's been interesting. Elon Musk is a very interesting character,
Yes.
and everyone knows his success story. So it'll be very interesting seeing how this overlays, how it trades in comparison to Tesla. Early stages, of course, a different story because it's so much more well known, and the tech is already there, and it's been a private company for so long. But it's very, very interesting all the stuff that is shaping up.
I think that there are different types of investors that want different types of exposure, right? So if an investor just wants access to SpaceX, then they can go ahead and buy the stock. If they want the kind of broader exposure to other space related names, they can look at the XOVL product. They can look at companies like UFOX that some of the holdings might get a tailwind even before SpaceX is in them. And I think that then there are other investors that are more traders, and they like they have kind of high conviction. They're looking for leverage. They're looking for amplification. So right away, there's a vehicle for them to trade in. So different types of special sauce for different types of investors.
That's a great point. Sometimes I often look at it through the lens of my own investing strategy. I'm like, oh, I'm not interested in a leveraged 2x just because of how I trade. But there is a whole different realm of investors out there that trade differently than I do. And I have to kind of pull myself out of my own mind there. Sometimes you're like, oh, maybe this one isn't for me, but there's still a giant target audience that it is for. So that's an excellent answer. And we have seen two different ways to kind of play the IPO. So we talked about XOVL and SPCU. Can you give just a little more of a breakdown about how they're different and who each ETF is kind of targeting for?
Well, I think, they're both leverage funds. So maybe I'll do SPCU because that's probably the one that investors are going to look to. They're really going to want that like high conviction, pure play exposure to SpaceX and nothing else. And that's what SPU will be. It'll just be 2x SpaceX. And so that's for the investor that wants leverage. So for whatever SpaceX moves in a day, this will move 2 times that for a 1 day
Hmm.
period. It resets daily, right? So if you have high conviction on both trend and direction that the market's going to kind of move upward, an investor might look to seek some leverage without the need for having, an expensive margin account. It's basically democratizing a hedge fund strategy, right? Where they get to have this exposure and lever up or amplify their portfolio with their strong conviction, right? And these are traders. They're people who are checking their portfolio every single day. They're comfortable with the risks associated with trading levered ETFs, right? And then you have buy and hold investors, and they're more the investors that are going to look at like a UFO, like you mentioned quantum, right? That's one of our ETFs, but like a UFOX, right? And that's a fund that is, the connectivity ETF, machine learning, the future of space, satellites, and communication, and that's a buy and hold product. There's no leverage in it, right? So different opportunities for different investors.
Excellent. And that's what we always want. Every investor is so different and unique. The
Yes.
more opportunities, the better. Some people say that you should wait for the lockup expiration, wait for the dip. Why should someone want exposure on day one and specifically levered exposure?
So, it's funny because I've been asked this question a bunch just because there's so much buzz about SpaceX, and I think
Hmm.
that it's its own beast. I do think that there are investors that are going to just have high conviction that this is going to IPO and that the price is going to be kind of going straight up for a period of time and perhaps for longer than a short period of time, right? And there are investors that think it'll just be the classic IPO where the price, kind of rips for a couple of days and pulls back. And so at Defiance, it's not so much important like what my opinion is, but what is important is that we're offering you the tool to play either side of it, right?
Hmm.
And that can be again like a one beta play, which is I shouldn't even use the word play, right? A one beta allocation, which you'll hold in your portfolio forever as space and AI come to fruition. Or it can be using SPCU for the short period of time that you have conviction that the price is rising, or SPCQ if you think it's falling, or if you just want to hedge your portfolio, right? So
Hmm.
kind of agnostic as to, you know, what investors are thinking on it. We just want to provide you the tool to do it.
Excellent. And this is a similar topic, the IPO game. Everything seems to be shifting. We've seen crazy volatility within these IPOs. And now it seems these companies are staying private for longer. Do you think that trend is going to remain as someone who's like within the sector? You guys are looking at this stuff on the daily. I'm thinking of other companies coming down the line that are supposedly going to be going public soon. And I'm just curious, is the IPO, are we going to see more and more of these huge IPOs?
I think so. I think so. And the reason for that is that there's this high level of demand coupled with a high level of innovation, right? There's so much
Mm,
happening. I think all of this kind of ties back to AI and supercomputing, quantum computing, things like this. For all of these processes and things that we want to do, we're going to need lower latency communication, satellites, space exploration, data. And believe it or not, all of these different topics fall into that. And so I think that because the innovation is there and because the investor appetite is there, coupled with, I mean, look what's moving in the market, right? I think the new market barometer is very much semiconductors, right, versus
hmm.
just like
Oh,
gold,
yes.
Nasdaq, right? So, I think because there's so much appetite and so much innovation that this will continue to grow.
Excellent. And one comment on the risk of waiting, because everyone talks about the risk of these IPOs, of these larger companies, and the volatility that we'll see. What is the risk of waiting? And what does the early mover get that the dip buyer wouldn't get potentially with SpaceX and the IPO?
Well, we can't predict the future, right? It could be. It's a fair question because there could be a dip that's substantial, and that investor could get in at a better price. We just don't know what's going to happen.
Hmm.
We don't try to outsmart the market, right? I think for a lot of investors that are looking for exposure to this in the short term, if it's essentially running up and they want to leverage their position, they might look at the bull fund, the SPCU bull fund in order to do that. And other investors that are just, kind of set it and forget it, they're going to cost average along the way, right?
Hmm.
Young people in 401ks, they'll kind of, either set up, a recurring buy for SpaceX, or maybe they just have NASDAQ exposure and they're going to get it anyway, whether they
Hmm.
know they have it or not. So, again, I can't predict the future and kind of say who's going to win and who isn't, but I do know that investors want access to it. And so, again, it's just a matter of putting the tools out there.
I love that. Yeah, you have the tools for either option. It all
Either
comes down to
option.
investor sentiment and what each individual investor believes. So SpaceX is a very unique story. Where does their revenue actually come from, and where is it going? Because it's a huge valuation as an IPO.
Yeah, so I think that I think a lot of the recurring revenue model right now comes from Starlink, right? And so you can continue to see why that would grow, particularly
Hmm.
given the world we live in, the geopolitical tensions, the adoption of things like this. But I think it's also just it's almost like AI, right? You have to think about like what is the potential growth, what is the potential revenue story, and there are so many different pillars here under the SpaceX ecosystem. Again, AI is going to be a huge one, right? Like what kind of data, what kind of power infrastructure play does SpaceX provide through their infrastructure? Space launch itself, the commercialization of space. I just think that there's going to be different pillars of revenues that investors will get access to. And again, like you brought up Tesla, it's a great example. Like, what is Tesla? Is it a car company? Is it an AI company? Right? But
Hmm.
they're generating revenues from lots of things, and I think you'll see some of that here.
Great point. And it's always interesting when people would try to target, they would speak on Tesla as if it is solely a car company
Right.
and it's way overvalued for a
It's all
car
far from
company.
that.
And
Yeah.
it's like, if you're comparing it to something like Ford, yes, it would be overvalued, but the tech side of it is vastly different. And so that's where I'm curious to see where SpaceX goes within, after this IPO and a decade down the line, because there's so much involved with it. And I'm curious, Sylvia, your take. The space sector is a very interesting one. So a lot of people, a lot of YouTubers are talking about it now as the SpaceX IPO approaches. There was a long period of time where it was relatively stagnant. I mean, I think 2019, 2020, all the way through 2024, it didn't really move much. I believe it even underperformed the S&P 500.
Yeah.
So where has this giant shift come? Would you say it's mostly because of SpaceX, or are these other names like Rocket Lab that's up like 1,000% over the last couple of years? Is that tied into SpaceX, or is that just the space sector finally heating up?
That's an awesome question. And I think it's the space sector finally heating up. And to your point, kind of nothing happened. But now, if you look at, like, we launched a CTF Jedi and it's essentially modern warfare. And, you kind of saw it playing out with Ukraine and you see what's happening with Iran. And it's this idea of 200 low cost drones, right? Versus one $250 million missile or something like this. Like it's just the execution, the efficiency and execution is just so much higher now. The information, the Earth observation, the government funding for all of this has grossly increased. And I think that there's a tailwind. One is the excitement of SpaceX now, right? But
Hmm.
there is this tailwind behind some of these drone companies, these satellite companies, and future IPOs to come. And I think it's, a lot of industries are forecasting that space is going to be $1 trillion industry in coming years. And the TAM is just so high, right? It's aerospace and defense, it's AI infrastructure, it's data processing, right? It's satellites, it's connectivity and like UFOX, like 6G. There's so many different pillars that it represents. And so I think to answer your question, it's one, you saw some practical use of like baby space, and now the technology has advanced and now it's here. And so I think it's starting to take off.
That's a great answer. It's so interesting watching how these different stocks correspond with the SpaceX IPO, and I'm really curious how they're all going to work together, because Rocket Lab would technically be a competitor of SpaceX,
Yeah.
but SpaceX is kind of holding up the entire sector. I mean, some of the performances, these are in a lot of cases life-changing performances by these stocks for investors who bought in early, and that's why I think it's key to diversify. And although, like we talked about, it may have underperformed for a certain amount of time, now it's severely outperforming anything space related. So when it comes to space and the sector, there's definitely a lot of risk involved. I mean, even just a couple of days ago, we saw a very hard pullback in the market. Why
Yeah.
is space so volatile? Why are these names so volatile? Is it directly linked to the SpaceX IPO, or is it just a continuation of the sector rocketing up so much, no pun intended, and just kind of remaining under that kind of hype when it comes to the market?
Again, great question. I think all of the above, all of your suggestions are accurate. A lot of it's run up, and investors are, we saw it the other day, investors are, kind of starting to think like, is this overheated? And other investors are in the camp of, no, this is in its infancy. I would say, you talked about quantum in the intro. That's another great example, right? For years, nobody had ever heard of D-Wave and IonQ and,
Hmm.
Quantinuum and some of these companies, and they've absolutely skyrocketed. And the reason why is because there has now been commercialization, there has been revenue growth. IonQ had, gosh, 722% year-over-year earnings. It's kind of like that, right? A lot of these companies are going to be around, and they're going to be, great options and competitors with SpaceX. Some of them will be gobbled up probably in M&A activity, but I think overall the investors that invest in innovative, disruptive technology, high growth stocks, high beta, they kind of understand that there's risk here. But I think that they're hoping that risk kind of plays out in the stock market, and so they continue getting exposure to this.
Excellent, excellent answer. And to touch back on AI, how much of this would be a space story versus the AI infrastructure story that we're seeing play out now?
I think it's both. I think it's both, and it'll remain to be seen where the revenues actually end up coming from. I suspect a huge chunk of it will be AI and what space will bring to AI. But I think that if anything, it's going to just further grow out the AI infrastructure trade, and you'll really start to see investors paying attention to the space names and how space infrastructure actually works with AI and what it has to do with AI. And as that plays out, I think, you'll probably see some allocations to this.
Excellent. And so the point of this whole video is SPCU.
Yeah.
But we've seen Defiance launch a lot of ETFs like QTUM. I would say it was well ahead of its time. It wasn't really a sector a lot of people were watching. And then once they saw the performance, it was like, wow, that's how you get so much growth and so rapidly. How is Defiance able to find the next best sector? Or it seems from, a retail investor's point of view that you guys are always on the kind of the cutting edge of these ETFs as they're coming out. How do you guys do that is the question, I should say.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I mean, I think we're constantly looking to. So, first of all, the ETF industry is very crowded. We have a lot of competitors. They have great products. We have great products, but we try to stand out, right? We try to be a first mover. And so, in order to do that, you have to think about, which sectors are doing well. Like, how can you further parse those sectors out into different ideas, different themes? Is there something missing? Is there a way to improve on something? So we're very thoughtful about the products that we launch. A lot of them, I think, target a younger generation. You have that, hundreds of trillions of dollars, apparent, like the number changes every day, but that is coming, into the hands of Gen X, Millennial, Gen Z, and beyond. And they're not just interested in kind of the old school allocations, right? They're interested in AI, they're interested in quantum computing. And so we try to think about those investors and what they will be looking for, right? And try to craft, and that's a big kind of, part of our thought process as we try to build disruptive thematic products.
Excellent, excellent. And for everyone interested, I'll be putting the Defiance website down below and the ticker so that you guys can reference it, reference points in the video, and learn more, of course. So thank you again, Sylvia, so much for
Thank you.
jumping on the channel. Do you have any closing thoughts for the audience?
I think like hold on tight. Let's see what happens. It's such an exciting time. It's such an exciting time to be an investor.
Hmm.
And I'm super excited to see what happens with SpaceX and SPCU and this trade.
Excellent. And thank you to Defiance for giving us all these products that we can use to trade based off our own thesis and what we believe is going to happen. We appreciate it for sure.
Thank you.